You know what's not smart? Job sites that overwhelm you with tons of the wrong resumes. But you know what is smart? ZipRecruiter.com/horn. Unlike other job sites, ZipRecruiter doesn't wait for candidates to find you. ZipRecruiter finds them for you. Its powerful matching technology scans thousands of resumes, identifies people with the right skills, education, and experience for your job, and actively invites them to apply. So you get qualified candidates fast. No more sorting through the wrong resumes. No more waiting for the right candidates to apply. It's no wonder that ZipRecruiter is rated #1 by employers in the U.S. This rating comes from hiring sites on Trustpilot with over 1,000 reviews. And right now, my listeners can try ZipRecruiter for free at this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/horn. That's ZipRecruiter.com/HORN. One last time, ZipRecruiter.com/horn.
If you're a smoker, you know switching isn't easy. You've tried vapes and e-cigs. They just didn't deliver the satisfaction you expected. But Juul is different. It's not an e-cigarette. It's a vapor product that actually satisfies. Plus, Juul is simple to use, and there's no cigarette ash and no lingering odor. As a smoker, you expect a certain nicotine experience, right? Juul delivers. Give Juul a try. Check out JUUL.com/sports. Switch and be satisfied. Yes, you can do both. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
Bill Plaschke, no worse for wear after covering the World Series.
Game 3 done yet? Game 3.
You did a great job. Stone, Isola, McMullen, let's go. The perfect run and perfect year for the Boston Red Sox. Hats off to them. Literally, Mookie Betts is wearing 2 hats. Hats off to them. The claim that this is the best Red Sox team ever. We'll have a debate on that. Also, halfway point of the NFL season, including the only thing that was less covered than the Rams line, once Gurley stopped short, the Rams field. We see you, USC logo.
You really got to go there. Come on, Cody. You really have to go there?
Oh, it just wasn't covered. Like the football
it's
field wasn't
Around the
covered.
Horn,
The field wasn't
the
covered.
show of competitive banter.
10 minutes.
Here's Tony Reali.
108-win regular season, 11-3 postseason. Once you do both of those, you're in rarefied air to begin with. How these Red Sox scored their runs with 2 outs, with 2 strikes, by every single place in the lineup, including this is my 8th team, Steve Pearce, and where they got all the outs from, everywhere, including the now postseason beast David Price, and who was pulling the strings. Rookie manager Alex Cora, like he was winning Mega Millions. The only loss they had this World Series was in that Game 3, Plaschke, that you stayed at for 7 hours that went 18 innings. You heard John Henry after the game call them the greatest Red Sox team in history. That's very interesting when you think about 2004. I want you on that, Jackie. But first and foremost, how did this Red Sox team do it, and how good historically are they?
Well, it remains incredible to me that they won the World Series relatively easily with their best pitcher, Chris Sale, who we will find out maybe today, maybe tomorrow, 2 weeks from now, had some serious kind of ailment.
Yeah.
Then you consider the fact that they won the World Series with their best hitter, who's going to be the AL MVP, Mookie Betts, not having a single really meaningful hit until last night. You got Joe Kelly, who couldn't locate the mound, now throwing fireballs up the middle. He makes your bullpen unbeatable. You have Steve Pearce, who a player once told me if you ever traded for cash considerations, you were in big trouble. Steve Pearce traded for cash considerations and a minor leaguer. Now you're MVP. Eduardo Nunez, Cora's pitching hitting for him, and I'm going, what are you doing? What are you doing? And he hits it out of the park. It was just an incredible team effort, and that's
I hear that this is a team above all teams, and they were all season long. Now, to hear John Henry say they're the best team this franchise has ever had, well, 2004 sitting there, and it was the greatest moment in franchise history. What do you think of that, Jackie?
So, do you take Dave Roberts' 2004 Red Sox team that comes back from 3-0 and they throw Schilling and Pedro out there, or do you take Alex Cora's 2007 Red Sox, and they roll Beckett out there with Manny and Ortiz smashing home runs? Having said all of that, you look at the way this team was constructed and what they've accomplished, I think you have to tip your hat to this team.
You tip both hats if you're Mookie Betts. He was wearing 2 hats. Frank Isola, weigh in.
Yeah, never let it be said that the regular season doesn't mean anything. They were the best team in baseball, 108 wins. And think about who they beat in the playoffs. They beat a very good Yankee team, a very good Astro team. Both of those teams won 100-plus games, and they did it on the road. And then they beat the best team in the National League, again, did it on the road. If I'm the owner, if I'm John Henry, I'm thinking, man, I missed out on 5 extra home games because we were so dominant. And the 04 team, what was terrific about them was, yes, they, exercised the demons, as they say, and they knocked off the Yankees, but they also fell behind 03. This team was so good, they never fell behind 03, so give them credit for that as well.
Kevin Blackstone?
I remember earlier this season we were talking baseball on this show, and Jackie Mack happened to mention that no one was paying attention to the Red Sox because nobody knew who they were, and they were in first place then. And for them to go wire to wire in this baseball season as the best team out there and to beat 100-win teams, as Frank just mentioned, makes them unquestionably the best Red Sox team ever. Just because we didn't know who these guys were at the beginning of the season, we certainly know who they are now. And you also can add to the fact that J.D. Martinez didn't even hit in this game and that they had a shorter bench because it didn't even go to their lefty and Pomeranz. So this was a great team that they put out there.
And now, finally, we make our way to Los Angeles. Bill, I know you view this from the Dodgers perspective, but first we have to start from the Boston perspective, please.
Well, they're the best team out there. The World Series, let's face it wasn't close. The Red Sox are a far better team than the Dodgers. They're far better than any team in the National League this year. They got to be the best Red Sox team ever. Not only their best regular season and postseason record, they had the best record in spring training in all of baseball. And they're one of only 3 teams to clinch all 3 rounds on the road in the postseason. There's such old-fashioned beauty. There's such relentless hitting. Nobody's trying to get home runs. They kind of run into them. They're moving runners along. Great defense. And the chemistry on the team, from Chris Sale screaming in the dugout to Nathan Eovaldi, probably the players were crying and giving him a standing ovation. He was a losing pitcher in Game 3, but he went 6 innings, 97 pitches, and they appreciated what he did for them. Such a great combination.
That might be
Can't imagine a better Red Sox team.
The biggest thing you could say about this team, the greatest accolade, is that they made Game 3, the 7.5-hour, 18-inning game, into a footnote in the series. I mean, that after that game, the inflection point could have gone in any direction. It could have gone any
off the
direction.
Hook. Ian Kinsler, totally off the hook.
Off the hook as well. Bill, did you vote for MVP, or does the LA Times vote for
the LA Times staff had
Who'd you vote for?
Vote, and we voted for Steve Pearce. Steve Pearce, he broke open Game 4. He broke open Game 5. He was the offensive reason they won those games. These were pitching duels. Remember, they were down 4-0 in Game 4. So Steve Pearce clearly was the MVP. He was the guy that changed the series. The pitching was great. David Price was great, but they wouldn't have won over that.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Jackie, from your couch, you would have voted for Pearce, you would have voted for Price, or maybe somebody else?
I certainly understand voting for Steve Pearce for all the reasons Bill just said, but I'm watching that and I'm thinking about the albatross that's so heavy around that slender Dave, his neck, okay? 0-9 in the postseason, and then he wins Game 2 for you. He comes in relief in Game 3, Tony. He warms up for you in Game 4 and then wins the clinching game and ends up with the World Series ERA of 1.98. Now, if I told any of you before the World Series that was going to start, you would have all said that he should have been the MVP.
Okay, all right. So you would have voted for Price, it sounds like. Bill, you said Red Sox won this series each and every way, but there were some razor-thin margins, and it came down to some very tight decisions made by Alex Cora and tight decisions made by Dave Roberts. Do you think this was a case of Cora managing Roberts?
Oh, there's no question. And I love Dave Roberts. He's a great guy, but he got outmanaged because Cora seemed to know and feel his players better, understood them better. Dave Roberts was outmanaged simply he made several terrible pitching decisions, but the one that stands out is, of course, in Game 4, the team's up 4-0, and he pulls out Rich Hill, throwing a one-hitter in the 7th inning of the team leading 4-0. Afterward, Roberts said he thought Hill wanted out. Hill said, I didn't want out. There's a miscommunication in that situation. You can't have that in the World Series. The manager's got to know his player and vice versa. So, yeah, he got outmanaged.
Frank, you want to address that?
No chance the player wants out of a one-hitter, and he has the lead in the World Series. And Bill mentioned feel, even the analytics, it's a one-hitter. To me, when Puig hit that home run, that could have been the difference in this series. That really could have gotten the momentum going the other way. Why are you going to a bullpen? He's playing, reliever roulette with these guys. None of them were that good all throughout the playoffs. You finally have hit on something here in Game 4. You have a chance to even up the series with Clayton Kershaw pitching, and you take a guy out after he struck somebody out on a one-hitter. Come on.
Wow, reliever roulette, I like that. A man's sport with the bullet called life. Let's give an autopsy on your Dodgers, Bill, since we have you here. Second year in a row The World Series was clinched at Dodger Stadium, and both years it wasn't by the Dodgers. You talked about Roberts' microscope that he was under, and the Kershaw opt-out is looming. How do you view Kershaw and what now for Puig and Machado and these Dodgers?
Well, first off, I got to say, and people aren't going to like hearing this, but the analytics that the Dodgers use work so well during the regular season. They don't work well when they play an elite team in a postseason series. They just don't. The analytics, the players.
What do you mean by that? What are you saying?
All right, for example, the Dodgers only had two players, Machado and Turner, who started every game. They benched their top 4 home run hitters in this series because of the analytics and the matchups. The hitters lost the rhythm. They lost the feel for the game. You can't do that. Also, the Dodgers believe anybody can relieve. They had a chance during the season to get a top relief pitcher to help out Kenley Jansen. They got a bunch of journeymen thinking anybody can get a couple outs. That didn't work.
Okay, so that's your view on that. I want everybody to address that. But also, real quick, on Kershaw, on the idea that he's got 3 days to decide here.
Oh, well, he's going to stay a Dodger because the Dodgers need him for their history and legacy. He's still one of the greatest pitchers ever in the regular season. They got to put up with this postseason.
Anybody want to weigh in on what Bill was saying about what the Dodgers' major malfunction is? Frank, you?
Well, I think Clayton Kershaw, they tied the game up in game 1, and then he didn't even get an out in the 5th inning. And then here, you need him to win that game. He's the ace of the staff. And before the Dodgers are hitting, they're already down 2-0. He's a terrific pitcher. No question about it. He was great in the National League Championship Series. He did not deliver on the biggest stage. That's the bottom line.
Some of the tough questions you have to ask yourself after you lose the World Series for the 2nd year in a row in your home park. Meanwhile, easier questions to ask for your Red Sox, Jackie, because the guys who are up on contract, Eovaldi, a great story and a great name, and Pierce as well, but it's not, Betts is under contract.